What's the most fricked up thing you've ever done and you can't tell people because they would think you're totally crazy? Story 1. I have been pretending to be a psychic medium because this woman I go to paranormal investigations with believes she is one and is really annoying about needing the spotlight about it. I'm just trying to find evidence of paranormal stuff to see if it's real, and this lady is yelling about hundreds of spirits coming to her all at once to cross over, which she does every time like it's a new thing that's happening. I am not a psychic, but I have the exact same level of accuracy just playing pretend. Even my wife believes I am psychic. I tell her I am not and she doesn't believe me. At this point I'm in too deep, so I just mildly annoy this lady by stealing her thunder until she shuts up. Story 2. So I've never actually told this to anyone before, but when I was in my first semester of college I was in a dorm apartment with 5 other guys. They all liked to smoke and drink constantly, and threw parties to the point where we were known as the party apartment. Now none of this really bothered me all that much. While I didn't drink or smoke at the time, they respected my boundaries and I didn't report them. Where I had my issue was all 5 of them were slobs. Now I'm not neat by any means, but I was not dealing with 5 other people's filth. I was also timid as crap at the time, so to get my revenge on one of the party nights I took a crap and then cleaned my butt. When I was about 4 years old there was this kid who always wanted to hang out with my friends and we found him annoying and didn't want him following us. So my friends and I came up with a plan we then executed. We tossed a blanket over him so he couldn't see and then proceeded to crack his head open with a plank. He was rushed to the hospital on one of their towels. It was rude as hell, but hearing the anguished scream of my roommate that there was dried crap on his towel was glorious. Me being mild-mannered, I got ruled out along with the other roommates, and it got blamed on some chicks that got sloppy drunk. Anyways, that was one of the only crazy things I've done with my life. Sorry for any spelling mistakes as I'm on mobile. Story 3. Was walking to a friend's house one day after school. Saw a cat get ran over and to my agony it was still flopping around. I picked it up by the scruff and carried it, going to care for it, but it shortly died in my hand. Change of plans, now I have to bury the poor cat. Well, that didn't happen either. Along the way, I passed my ex's house, and to get back at her for cheating on me, I decided to leave the cat, in all its bloody glory, on her windowsill that she regularly used to steal WIFI. Never heard about it, so I believe it was all in waste. A few days later she claimed strange things started happening and swore it was haunted. Story 4. I kind of fricked someone's car. Alright, last summer I tried quitting cigarettes cold turkey. I've always had a few mental health issues like depression and anxiety, and smoking is one of my main ways of coping. Withdrawal was making me go crazy. I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't sit still. I kept going on long walks, even late into the night, sometimes not coming back until 5 in the morning. One night I go pretty wasted and went out on one of these excursions, and I found myself feeling a bit horny. It was sometime between 2 and 3 a.m. when I stumbled upon a retro-looking powder blue Jaguar in a poorly lit suburban alley. It was really a good-looking car, and I stopped for a moment to admire it. I'm not remotely a car enthusiast or anything, so what happened next makes even less sense. I suddenly caught the urge to get intimate with this car. I don't want to get into the dirty details in this comment, but I did unclean things to that car, and I'm sure whomever's car that was noticed the mess the next day. I feel pretty bad about that poor person. I'd never done anything like that before or since, not do I plan to. Still haven't quit those damn cigarettes, though. Story 5. Participating in an underground MDMA trial, I accidentally sourced myself a pull that was actually pretty much a slurry of hallucinogens and stimulants. I didn't test it since I had worked closely with my source for a number of years and trusted he labeled his bags right. Spent 2 days in an incredibly altered state similar to smoking DMT where I experienced dying of rabies. Actually, I killed myself with the hemlock tincture my husband kept in the freezer. Made a real-world attempt to had a conversation, exchange of concepts with Dr. Nash, and was reborn from the ocean the bath my better half was using to keep my body temperature down. A complete plus 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 on the Shulgin scale. The exchange of concepts with Dr. Nash changed me very deeply, and although I know it was just myself projecting that image to myself while my physical body tried to boil itself, it was the most meaningful experience for me to date. I start community college this summer after being an F student slacker galore my whole life. Every time someone asks me why the sudden change, I just have to mumble some crap about bad teachers, but I am enthralled by numbers now and feel such a strong drive. Story 6. Throwaway given the content. So one day me and friends thought it would funny to post a very pro-Trump status on Facebook using our idiot friend's account, which he willingly gave access to. He's not the best writer, so he asked the four of us to fix up his grammar and errors of his old poli-sci class essay. We fixed it up and posted the essay because it was a boring Wednesday and expected it to be obvious bait or troll given my friend's reputation and intellect in high school. For the next 10 hours, we managed to start a discussion and basically argued with many people who were very anti-Trump. For the record, none of us support Trump, but people got nasty. You would be surprised given how people immediately associated my friend as a racist, bigot, idiot, etc. Now, the four of us were ghost-writing responses against other people from high school and were responding almost immediately. The funny thing was everyone who argued with us never suspected it was actually four people, despite my friend's reputation, and apparently no one in high school remembered him. Thinking about it, it's pretty sad that we spent 10 hours stumping people from high school, which started off as joke. I dance in a gay club for money completely straight. Was approached by the owner to dance when he was there with a friend. It was a bar with lesbian and gay men dancers on separate bar tops. Spent 2 months doing it. Made about 400 minus 800 a night doing it with free boozes. Was awesomeness. Learned what it feels like to be a woman, that is for sure, at least from that perspective. Can't tell anyone because they think I am weird or crazy. ONC did a birthday dance where I hung from the ceiling bar handles and wrapped my legs around this girl's face and danced to the beat with my junk an inch from her face. Got me $50 in about a minute. Story 7. When I was around 11 or 12, I was watching my little sister late at night, and nobody else was at the house. Late in the night I heard a woman screaming things like stop and help from the apartment atrium, which was right outside my apartment. There were a lot of arguments that took place between couples in that general area, so I figured it's none of my business, and if it were something serious, someone would help out, or at least come out and yell at them to shut the frick up. Turns out, it was a young woman being assaulted by her uncle that was nearly 30 years older than her. I didn't do anything about it, and neither did anyone else, despite us all hearing it. Always regret that, and I still feel like a pretty crappy person for it. Which I should, I know. Story 8. I promise I'm not a bad person and have gotten away from this life. I was raised a lot differently than this. If any of my family knew about this, it'd be bad. My dad is a police officer and my mom is a psychologist, and they loved me and raised me well, but the environment I was in was very negative. I'm from Flint, Michigan, probably the most dangerous city in the US. It's so bad you can't walk the streets in the day or at night time without a large group of friends, or you'll get jumped, robbed, or probably even killed. If you are with a large group of friends, you're automatically assumed as gangbangers, causing even more problems. There was one time when I was 16 where a man who was about maybe 40 tried to rob me with a little knife. He was most likely homeless. About 5'7", 130 pounds. I'm not big but very athletic build, solid muscle, and boxed for about 6 years. I'm 6'0", 185. I calmly tried to explain I only had a few dollars and was going to a friend's house and we needed food. He wouldn't listen and was getting pretty hyper and moving slowly closer to me. He looked behind him to make sure no one was walking down the alley, and when he looked back at me again, I threw the hardest punch I could. Definitely broke his nose, blood splattered all over. He fell over. I thought I knocked him out and walked past him, but he got up, jumped on my back, and tried to bite me. I flipped him onto my shoulder and tried to slam him on his back, but he landed more on his shoulder and neck, and I heard a loud snap. I immediately assume I broke his neck. I start crying, thinking I just killed this man and my life was done. I had a bright future in sports and just threw it all away. I waited there for about 5 minutes and he still didn't move. He wasn't getting cold, so I placed an anonymous call off the payphone and ran home. The next few weeks were me freaking out about killing someone and panicking every time I seen a cop car. About 3 months later, I see the same man digging through a trash can in the same neighborhood. It was for sure him. TLDR, I almost killed a homeless man for trying to rob me when I was 16. Thought I broke his neck, placed an anonymous call and left. Panicked about it for a month, then found out later he was alive. Second time almost killing someone. I actually ended up joining a gang for a little while. There was about 15 of us this day. Majority were black. I was the only half black and half white person, and we had a few white dudes aging from 18 minus 20. I was the youngest at 17. We were at a mall in a bit of a hick town. There was still a bit of racism in the area. A group of about 10 white men probably aged 20-25 when one of them says go to your own mall niggers, we immediately surround them, and the white guys in our group were the first to say something. The racist guys claimed they were going to hell and were traitors. We immediately started throwing punches and kicks. We were definitely winning until someone came from behind, grabbed me and threw me to the ground. Other people we didn't even know were jumping in against us. Our leader Spotty was getting his butt beat by this big guy. He was, no lie, about 6'5", 270 and like stocky. I ran to the car and grabbed a shovel and smacked him in his back but hard as I could. He turned around as if it didn't hurt that much, so I was planning to hit him again until he turned around and pulled out a switchblade. I immediately hit him in the face, split his face with the shovel a bit, and he dropped. Spotty proceeded to kick him while he was down, but I pulled him off and we left. I was worried he was going to die. TLDR, got involved with a gang. Got into a huge group fight with some racist dudes in another city. Other people started jumping in. Giant Hulk-like guy was beating my friend's butt, so I hit him with a shovel and my friend curb stomped him while he was down. But things have gotten a lot better for me since then. I actually am playing basketball and football in college, double majoring in criminal justice and psychology. Was running track for a bit but couldn't manage my time well enough, so I stopped. But I'm an occasional church goer and I'm out of the gang. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to help out the channel. But first, a word from our sponsor, Light Gallery. It's a game changer when it comes to illuminating your living space. If you're looking to add a touch of creativity to your home, this is the perfect solution. They offer a varied collection of high-quality illuminating objects. The last couple of days I had the chance to try out their realistic moon lamp. I have to say that my room caught a new feeling, and not only this, but this lamp is shown to improve focus, which was really important for creating awesome stories. For you, Light Gallery offered 15% off if you use the code CARL7. But hurry, it's only for the next 72 hours. Thank you so much, Light Gallery, for sponsoring this video. And let's get back to the stories. Story 9. I used to masturbate by humping pillows when I was 12-14. When I was that young, I thought what it would feel like if I did to my brother. So I had a shower with him and stood in the fricking corner away from him as much as I could, dreading what the frick was wrong with me. I did not do anything. But the thing is, I can't believe a human could be so fricked up to think about doing something like that. Again, I did not act on it. I am not a freaking retard. I just thought of that idea. Story 10. I was seeing this girl when I was a teenager in my goth phase. She was really into vampirism and was one of those I can't go out in sunlight IR real vampire types. So I smashed open a disposable razor to get the blade out and cut an inch long, roughly 5mm deep gash on my upper arm and let her drink the blood. Then I sealed the wound with tape. Never did it again, but it left a huge scar like the eye of fricking Sauron on my arm. I've since gotten a tattoo to cover it up. Story 11. The most fricked up thing I've done. It'd have to be between lying to police detectives during a murder investigation that my friends were arrested for, or when I tried to kill myself by overdosing on Seroquel, the fast-active sleeping pill type, not the bipolar schizophrenia one. Now I have reduced feeling in 1.5 fingers. Yes, half my finger has reduced feeling split down the middle. It's quite odd. Story 12. I sometimes, and without emotion, whip my back with a belt because I read a Science Daily article about pain prepping the immune response and waking the body up, making you feel better. I probably look like one of those weird ultra-Catholic people, but nothing wakes me up better in the morning or can so easily put me in a better mood. I obviously get to stop when I want. Story 13. When I was about 4 years old, there was this kid who always wanted to hang out with my friends, and we found him annoying and didn't want him following us. So my friends and I came up with a plan we then executed. We tossed a blanket over him so he couldn't see and then proceeded to crack his head open with a plank. He was rushed to the hospital.